All right. We'll call the Select Board meeting for June 12th to session. Bill, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need to approve the minutes of the Select Board work session for May 22nd. Do we have any changes to that?
I move that they be accepted as written.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we have the Select Board meeting for May 22nd, 2017.
Make a motion that we accept it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And the non-public session, May 22nd, 2017.
Make a motion that we accept it.
Second. Oh, sorry, Brian.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The Select Board will meet on the following dates. Regular meeting 6 p.m. Monday, June 26th and July 10th, 2017. Work review sessions prior to the regular meeting will start at 5 p.m. Public hearings to be held during the regular Select Board meeting, Monday, June 26th at 6:15 p.m. Plymouth Energy Commission will be given a presentation designed to provide the public with the information on the proposed solar array project to be placed at the town's recycling center and to offer an opportunity for the town of Plymouth residents to provide comment and ask questions concerning the project. All the above meetings will be held at the town hall unless otherwise posted. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the town hall before 12 p.m. the Friday before the scheduled meeting. New members are needed for the Planning Board, Zoning Board position. If interested, please submit a letter of intent to the Plymouth Select Board's office, 6 Post Office Square, Plymouth, New Hampshire, 03264. The chairman has no comments. Visitors, we have the Stevens family.
Yes, sir.
How are you tonight? Would you like to, let me move the podium over there.
Sit up here.
In their chairs.
No, they're fine.
Microphone, Steve.
Hello, my name's Tim Stevens. I'm the chief of police in the town of Hill. I reside in Ashland, and I want to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today, and I want to thank Paul for setting this up for me. I actually have 5 children that have attended or are attending Plymouth High School. I have 2 others besides those 5 that graduated from PSU. So I have a little bit of vested interest in the town of Plymouth. I brought along 3 Special Olympic athletes with me today. They participated in the summer games last weekend, and out of the 3 of them, they participated in 12 events. Out of the 12 events, we came home with 5 golds, a silver, 2 bronze, a 5th, 2 6ths, and an 8th place. So Fort Knox is feeling a little bit lighter this weekend after these athletes participated. They actually happen to be my children as well, so it's.
Why don't you have them come up and join you up
You guys
there?
want to come up here for a minute?
Great, guys.
I personally have been involved with Special Olympics for about 25 years. Jeremiah is my biological son. He's 28 years old. At the age of 3, we started participating in pre-Special Olympics when I was stationed down at Camp Lejeune. And so for the last 25 years, we've been stationed in it. When I left and started my second life after my 20 years in the Marine Corps, we went up to Colebrook. I settled there originally and started a team up there. We've been down here since about 2007. We found that the trips to Dartmouth, which were quite frequent, got a little tough in the middle of the winter sometimes, trying to get there at 5 or 6 in the morning, having to leave about midnight to get there in an 18 or 20-inch snowstorm. So we moved down to Ashland, and we've been there with the acceptance of a couple-year break. For the last few years since we've been down here, the kids have been participating in Special Olympics. The only problem is they've been participating in it with the Winnipesaukee Warriors, which are over in Laconia. My wife and I have been speaking with each other for a number of years now, saying, why are we traveling to Laconia to participate in the Special Olympics when I know we have a number of athletes here in the local area? I know that Plymouth, Campton, Thornton, Ashland, Holderness, Bristol, and Newfound for years have been raising money for Special Olympics, but they haven't got to keep any of the money local because there hasn't been a local team to do that. I'm not going to talk about him because he's here. I'm going to talk about him because it's the truth, and Plymouth has been a huge supporter of the Special Olympics with the torch run and the Irvin pumping gases and all that. But all that money right now is going down to the great Special Olympics in the sky down in Manchester. And so my wife and I have decided that we're going to start a team here locally. We've got a lot of support from Paul, from the PD, from others in the area. The president of the university has opened up his facilities to us to some extent. And Paul, if I overstep my bounds and say something I shouldn't, please squash me before I get myself in too much trouble. But they're going to allow us to use the facilities for the training of the athletes, and I'm real excited about just the opportunity to start a team here in Plymouth, where Plymouth will be represented at both the regional and state games with their own Special Olympics team, and all this precious medals won't come back under the name of the Winnipesaukee Warriors, but will come back under a name that's representative of the town of Plymouth. Whether it's Pemmy Baker or Plymouth or something like that, we'll probably have some type of contest with anyone that's showing interest. And so this is kind of a twofold thing for me to be here. One is I wanted to let the select board know, one, that the town has been extremely receptive to this idea and has opened up a lot of doors for it to happen, and that in itself is going to allow Plymouth to be recognized at state games and regional games when their athletes are participating. But another reason is I know that these things are recorded and televised, and gives me the opportunity to kind of get the word out that we are going to have a team locally, and we're going to start it with the next season, which is going to be bowling, and we will be participating in some way, shape, or form with a team from the Plymouth regional area. So that kind of wraps up what I have to say, and open the floor for any questions if any of the select board or town administrator or the population has any questions to ask, or any concerns, or anything concerning the Plymouth Special Olympics team. Yes, sir.
So is Laconia getting kind of worried that you're taking some Special Olympians away from them, or?
We're taking the best.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All our kids are awesome.
Yeah.
They're not. Obviously, they've had a good relationship with them, and have got so nobody really wants their team to break apart. But this is actually for a couple reasons. One is the traveling that takes place. Another thing, which personally I didn't agree with, is a lot of their practices, actually every practice they have is on a Sunday morning, and I think that takes out a population of individuals that may have to make a decision whether I'm going to go to church or go to Special Olympics practice, and I don't think that's fair that someone should have to make that decision. And the other thing is, two other things, is one is there are a lot of people that travel from this area and participate in Laconia, and besides that, there's a lot of people here that don't participate because they won't travel. So I think that, I know Newfound, I've already spoken with one family there that's interested. I know that there are athletes in the area that are looking forward to getting a team where they don't have to make that travel. So, they might be a little bit upset, but they're going to be more upset when they have to face us in competition.
That's great.
Any other questions? Okay. So, we want to get a letter of support.
I think that would be good.
Okay,
And, we'll get it to Tim, and anybody watching this can get a hold of Tim, or they can get a hold of me here at the town hall, and definitely looking for more kids and more participants that fit into the category of wanting to be in the Special Olympics, and especially those that haven't even tried it, and there are a lot in this area that haven't even tried the Special Olympics yet.
Yeah, one thing we're looking at doing, because of the protected population of individuals with special needs, names can't be released. You can't just go to the
Yep.
school and say, hey, give me a list of everyone that's in your special ed department. So what my wife and I are doing is we're doing up a letter. It's going to have our name and our phone number on it, and we're going to give it to the special education department and say, anyone that qualifies, anyone that's eligible to participate, which that in order to participate, they have to have a developmental disability or intellectual disability. And if they qualify, then they can participate, and it's going to have our number, and they can get in contact with us.
Okay.
So my number's going to be out there. So it's 375-4222 for anyone who's going to be interested, 375-4222. And they can call and let us know and give us their contact information. So once we get the ball rolling, we'll be able to get in touch with them and start figuring out what, when, where, and how, and get things going.
okay. Well, thank you, and I think we give a big round of applause to the kids for what they did.
And I'm sure the board's aware, but the public might not be aware. Now, we've got an employee that's on the team also. Jeremiah works for the town hall, so it's
Okay.
part-timer.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much. Okay, all right, purchase orders. Joe, you want to come up on the purchase orders? All right, the first one is Scribe Right. This is for the roofing.
So he has, Strawberry has finished the completion of our highway roof. And that's the final payment.
Okay.
And, yeah, so that's part of the agreement, the way it was written up, and he did an awesome job. Everything looks good. No leaks.
That's too bad.
That's this part. The proof there. Okay, do we have a motion?
I move that we pay the final payment of $10,000 to Scribe Right for Joe's roof.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right, and the next, all right, we have another one for Scribe Right.
Right, so when this project was happening, we built a shed bay, which was an extension of the roof. And years ago, we had poured a slab out back there with an anticipation of having more storage. So we took the time and extended it and set it up so we have storage on the backside of the building. And this money was appropriated, so this actually won't take place until July 1st, but just trying to get it approved, so, because that was the agreement also, because he actually completed this work, but the money's not gonna be available until July 1st. Correct.
I have a motion?
I move that we pay the $20,500 for the completion of the shed bay payment due July 1st.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 You guys are more than welcome to come check it out and see all the progress we've made.
All right, Bryant Paving?
Yes, this is actually the pad for we have to move our sand shed, and that had asphalt under it. So we're moving it on the other end of the building, and they're coming actually Wednesday to pave it. So just trying to coordinate it.
All right.
So that's
Any
gonna happen.
questions?
Make the motion that we approve the 19,350 for the paving for the salt shed.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Could I just ask a question about the salt shed, though? When's the completion of the, you know, of the movement, and is that, we're still targeting like before the end of the month?
So, they're gonna come tomorrow, and so they say, and grade, and then Wednesday they're supposed to pave. And I have Reese Construction, they're coming tomorrow and gonna dismantle the old one. And then part of the highways job to cut the funds was for us to move all the blocks and reset them so that they can repin the structure and put it back up, so. So we're on target to meet the
Okay,
needs
We'll be
next.
out of the way in time. We might not be constructed.
right.
But
Well, that's more than acceptable, I would think.
Under the circumstances?
Yep.
All right, portable crushing?
Right, so I had a purchase order for another gentleman for this job, and it was supposed to happen more than, close to 2 months ago. He just kept putting it off and stalling me, so I'm not sure what happened. So this gentleman here, Portable Crushing, I used him before, and I called him, and I was fortunate enough that he was available. So basically all I'm doing is changing the
Vendor?
gender. So I'm using the same money to get the job done. I'm just changing the person's name on the void in the old contract.
I think we catch it, but, so the 385 a yard, that's the same price as the other guy, or is it?
No, it's a little more, but the guy promised me an awful lot that he couldn't come follow through with. So what we're doing here is going to just crush until he figures I'm gonna get like 5,000 or 5. I'm gonna be short maybe a little bit, but I didn't want to throw away the opportunity to use the money to get the crushing done. So
Okay.
I'm within a less than 1,000 yards of what the other guy would have been.
All right.
You got a screening plant too?
I don't know. I know he's crushing it and coming out 1.5 inch gravel.
Any other questions?
He's doing it as we speak, so if you're more than
He's out there
welcome,
now?
you're more than welcome to come down during the day and check it out.
Sure.
And we've used him before, and he's pretty awesome.
Okay.
there's nothing from the recycling side going up there, right? Just your material.
Right, just our material. We did try some glass in it, but it
Yeah,
doesn't work
it's
well.
not fine enough. You can't guarantee the,
No matter what the state says.
it's too bad.
Well, what we find the problem is like the bottle cap, the tops. It's not so much the glass, it's the,
It's caught in the grinders?
yeah, so when you, like, you know, it's coming off the conveyor, you gotta sort out all the bottle tops, and it's just,
So now we need to come up with
It's a lot
another
of work.
conveyor like the can separator.
Yeah, right.
so. We tried it, didn't work, so.
All right. Any other questions? Have a motion?
I move that we approve this purchase order for portable crushing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for your job.
Yep.
You got a tough one. You're doing a good job, Joe. Thank you. Steve. First item is the patrol PCs.
Yep, those are the mobile data terminals for the cruisers. It's how we communicate with the dispatch center and how my officers can, from the cruiser, run people's motor vehicle records and things of those natures. The units we have in that are getting old and they're starting to malfunction. These are brand new units, and these are actually tablets that are removable from the cruisers. So the ones we have now are permanent; they stay in the cruisers. But so if the officer has to get out of the cruiser, they can take it out with them and actually do some work outside the cruiser as well.
Okay, any questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the purchase of the Motorola items.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then we have the Motorola Inc.
Correct. Mr. Chair, correction on during the work session, I should have asked for a bid waiver for that one. Didn't realize it was over the 10,000. So at this point, I would ask for a bid waiver. And the reason for my bid waiver would be that we currently have all Motorola radios now. So all the chargers, batteries, and everything we have would work with these new radios. So I didn't want to have different equipment. So we could start so all the equipment would be compatible with each other. So I would request a bid waiver so we're able to stick with Motorola.
So, Mr. Chairman, I was looking at the wrong item when I made the request to approve. I was looking at Motorola, which we voted unanimously for, so.
Well, we did the PCs.
Well, I said Motorola when I made the amendment, when I made the motion.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't. I have to turn them up. Okay, so we correct that amendment?
Yeah, I
motion?
will correct it to Patrol PC.
All right,
I'll still second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay. Now, we have a motion on the bid waiver for Motorola.
Yes.
We have a
I move that
second?
we do a bid waiver on Motorola Inc. PO for $14,537.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Now, the purchase order itself,
Right.
talk about that. There are 4 of us in the police department. Whenever I order new radios, new equipment, I try and get it out to the patrol people first. They should have the best equipment. They're out there doing, boots on the ground work, so I try to get to them. So there are 4 of us left that have older, outdated radios. I just wanted to take the time to update the rest of us. It's myself, the deputy chief, the lieutenant, and the detective sergeant are the last 2 people, and that would bring everybody up having brand new portable radios.
And they're all interchangeable if someone
Correct. Someone
goes
could
down,
yeah,
come get yours. And
Yep, absolutely.
they're done.
Everything's interchangeable. Batteries are interchangeable. Chargers are interchangeable. They have all the same stations in them, so.
Okay, good.
What do you do with the old ones?
We actually keep them as backups because sometimes we'll have, say we have a critical incident happen here in town, we can hand them out to other people coming in, helping us out. So we try and keep those. And, or we give them to emergency management if they need them too. We've done that as well.
Make a motion that we approve the purchase order of Motorola radios.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Last but not least, the furniture purchase order.
Yep, and this is part of the, as you know, as you've seen all the improvements at the PED, this is kind of the last of kind of the interior phases. We have a couple more areas we still need to paint and whatnot, but we're getting that done. But as I spoke, about the bond, when we first talked about it, is one of the things I wanted to get was new office furniture for everybody in the police department. Some people are still working off of old military surplus desks and chairs, and I'm trying to make a comfortable workspace for everybody so they're proud to go to, and happy employees are good working employees. So
Exactly. All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good vacation.
Thanks.
New other business. We have Grace Garvey, Todd Moore to discuss the Texas Hill road drainage issues.
Are we okay right here, or should we sit?
Either way.
Either way.
Whatever makes you more
We can sit. We've had long days. So I pulled the short straw, so I get to do our little presentation. But we did write something up that we'd like to submit to the board. I know Joe had given a little bit of background around the history at Texas Hill. We don't live on Bell Road, we live on Texas Hill Road at 812 Texas Hill Road. And I don't know if you know that section of Texas Hill Road, but there is a steep hill there that basically goes down and then it crosses Reed Brook. Just after we purchased the property in 2010, we noticed that the road crew had cut into the embankment such that water flow was right onto our property instead of down the drainage along Texas Hill Road. At that time, I met with the road agent. I believe his name was Peter, but I can't remember his last name. And we asked if there was a formal drainage easement. We weren't aware of one being attached to the deed. Soon after that, in 2007, I met with Mike Vignali. He's from KV Partners. He's one of the engineers that does some of your road designs. And we actually walked the section of the road. Apparently, maybe the town got funds from FEMA to do some road upgrades, and I'm pretty sure that was around after Hurricane Irene. So KV Partners engineered plans for the road, Texas Hill Road, and actually did address the drainage along that section of the steep hill down from our driveway. And I made copies for everyone. You can take one and pass it. So I'll let you get them all. I mean, I can sort of walk you through what KV Partners engineered for the town. So I highlighted the section that talks about a level spreader. That level spreader is actually on our property. And then you'll see a note upslope of that level spreader on the same side of Texas Hill Road that says, I believe it says stone swale. And the stone swale plans are on the back side of that engineered plan that you have in your hand. And that is exactly what the town approved. And that's what they installed. Actually, I believe Mike Latulip, the Latulip company out of, I guess, Holderness or Ashland, they actually implemented the road upgrades based on that plan. So they created this very distinct rock drainage with a perforated pipe in it that ran right along the edge of Texas Hill Road. And then it took that water at the bottom and splayed it into the level spreader, which is on our property. And basically what that did was it protected the integrity of Texas Hill Road, but it also helped treat the water before it flowed into Reed Brook. So we were totally on board with that project. And jump in if you need to. And basically it created, and actually Brian Murphy sent us recently an email. He said his understanding of those plans created a situation where the town didn't have to cut that extra place in the embankment a couple hundred feet just down slope from our driveway.
Can you show us where your
Sure.
driveway is?
Sure. And our house at this time hadn't been constructed. So if you look, it says 15-inch HDP driveway.
Yep.
So that's our driveway right here.
That's your driveway.
Yep.
And your home, is it?
Our home was not in that picture because it was pre-built.
So is it far back?
down here?
It sets back,
Pretty much.
I don't know, a couple hundred feet.
Down
I
to the.
Okay.
I don't
This
have
is at
our
the end of your
plans with
property?
us.
Okay.
Okay.
I circled the place that says pole on there. That's where the town in 2011 was broadcasting flow onto our property, and that's where we said, please abandon that and use the plans that KV Partners has come up with. So since then, the plans, once implemented, have been working really well. We know that's a really tough section of hill. We watched in the winter, we watched the Sanders actually back down the road. It's a steep hill. It is dirt, as you know. This past year, there was some erosion problems. I mean, we had a pretty decent spring. There was a lot of snow melt off. What we noticed was water was basically not flowing in those drainage ditches, the stone drainage ditches, as well as they had for the past 6 years. I noticed one day that the road crew had come in and cut that place again at that pole on the road, and I talked to Todd that night, and we called the road crew the next day, and we said, could we meet out here and again have this conversation that we had had already in 2011? So Joe was very kind to meet me out there. And actually, our observation is since the road crew has done the work that they recently done, which I believe they brought up the crown and then they graded the road so that all the flow goes into those engineered drainage swales, it's working great. We don't see any need to cut onto our property a second time at that pole. We're asking the town to celebrate that plan that you implemented. That is working when those swales, the stone swales immediately along the road are maintained. They work great. And the level spreader, we think it's working really well. We know that maintaining the dirt road's tough. We have nothing but the ultimate respect for the road crew and their difficulties. And we appreciate what they're doing. And we believe we share a goal in protecting Texas Hill Road with this plan and the maintenance of it.
Where does your road start? Where does your land start along the road and where does it end? That's your driveway.
Yeah, I'll just make a little line. There's a stone wall right about here.
And then it goes this way all the way?
It goes to the brook.
Oh, okay.
Essentially done.
And I don't know if you want me to do that
You
too.
own the center of the brook?
Doesn't
Yeah, go
quite
right-
go
maybe
to
go
the
right
brook,
here.
it's just
Oh, wait,
before
no,
the
that
brook.
is- No, that's right. So it's basically across from that house, right about there. That's where our property line is.
And there's a driveway culvert, I mean, this is like a,
Oh, does it say driveway culvert right there?
well, it says driveway
That's our
culvert with
That's our
flared.
driveway.
Oh, no, there's another one up here, though.
Am I in the wrong spot?
Well, there's one here and there's one here. Across
Oh, I'm
that
in the
guy's
wrong
drive.
spot, you're right. This is ours.
Oh, okay.
So it's this one.
So it's the earlier.
I'm looking at it upside down.
So this is your driveway here?
This is our driveway here.
This is your driveway
I
here?
apologize.
Right here.
Yes, exactly.
So your land starts just in here, your land starts then?
Yeah, so it's almost in that bend in the road.
Okay.
And your property
In
starts here
fact,
at the
it's
driveway and goes this way?
coming out of the driveway, we don't really have a great sense.
What's a
Like-
vertical drop from your driveway down to the brook?
Is there a profile plan on the back, Neil? I don't actually,
It's gotta be
No,
at least 50 feet.
50-foot drop?
That's just a guess
do
thing.
you know, Joe?
What do you, it's long and steep, that section.
It's gotta be like 14% grade, I'm guessing? I don't know.
I don't know that we've ever.
Joe? I'm not asking you, do you have any comments or?
Oh, well, I know these This is an old plan, you don't know how old this is, do you?
2012,
On the bottom right.
Yeah.
2012.
So, those level spreaders, I don't believe that they're still working. 'Cause what happens is, when that runoff fills up, and then the water, the gravel goes down the bottom. One of my concerns is if you ask me to shut that runoff off and down. So right now, there's still a fair amount of gravel that comes down there. I used to have a dip in the road before the bridge, and because the road's so steep, now that dip's gone, and so all the gravel just keeps coming down the hill, and slowly the road's getting higher than the bridge, and that runoff, to me, where you're putting this, to me, it looks like wetlands, and I'm concerned about, and I know it's your property, but I'm kind of concerned about keep dumping a bunch of material in there. So that runoff has a bearing for us. And I walked it with Brian Murphy the other day, and I know that this plan shows what it shows, but every time there's a storm or something, like, and you rebuild a road, 90% of the time, it fills all your runoffs in. And so, we have a very small crew. It takes a long time to go around and try to so they did their job, but all your runoffs, I mean, we have to come back and clean them up, and that one there takes a long time for it to fill up. It's like a void, and it just fills up, and then we have to clean it out. And so I don't know, I can't speak from before you were there, but I know that we clean it periodically, depending on the weather. So as far as breaking that wall, that you can visually see that that's been there for a while. So it's not my intentions to work against you, but that runoff works for us. So it's up to the board whether they want to honor the last guy's that work here, whether his decision. It's definitely one that I wouldn't have recommended, but that's where I'm at with it.
I have a question. You have a high sediment load being transported every time you get a major event, right?
Yep.
Do you think maybe, you're using crush bank run gravel on the road surface? Do you think maybe you could consider something like reprocessed asphalt or ledge pack might make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, we've put ledge pack on that when we can afford it. I mean, as a rule, we use our own material because it's crushed asphalt, and we tried both. But, it's just that hill just takes a beating, and you don't go down very far before you find ledge. So that's part of the problem. Is all that sits on ledge and it never gets really compacted well. So short of paving the hill, you're always going to have water issues there.
Saturation, yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
in 5 years, those level spreader areas are filled with gravel?
I mean, I see them on the plan, but I don't, I honestly don't know how they work. I don't know that they still exist. I don't know what they're supposed to look like. But all I can tell you is there's just a lot of, this side is ditched off, so it runs off the way it should. And this side just kind of goes out, but it's short of the bridge. And in a perfect world, should be just like the work we did on Cummins Hill, but underground drainage and catch basins. But that's a huge undertaking and a lot of work and funds that we don't have, which would work for both of us, but and there's ledge there, so it would involve some blasting to get the ditch line where it needs to be.
Any other quick? Yeah.
There's that paved area on Old Hebron, on the hill. I mean, it would be something similar to that. That might be a solution for that section of road, just to stabilize the material and stuff, or,
Yeah, we had a similar problem over on Old Hebron.
right? I don't probably have the
Maybe we should do a
money.
site visit.
Right now, some of that sediment's getting dumped on our property. And, long-term, I mean, Neil knows this, if you're conveying water over a period of time, it's gonna change the integrity. That's an upland forest, and we eventually wanna put possibly a driveway in there. Might be for an in-law home or something. Our parents are getting older, actually my father's passed, but if you look at this plan, this is our property. We already have a lot of wetland to begin with, so we're trying to protect that upland area, not have that sediment going on our property in two places. I mean, we're already agreed to the level spreader. We saw that it worked, that area worked. I guess I'm repeating myself, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like there could be another resolution somehow.
You were saying this worked for 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely.
Okay, now what has changed that it's not working now?
Actually, could I ask Joe a question? It sounds like you're trying to protect the level spreader at the bottom or down at the bottom, because my thought, I thought why the town wanted to, cut halfway through was to protect the road on the hill.
It's the volume of water.
Yeah.
If you can slow it down, then you can slow down how fast it erodes the road. So by having a turnoff halfway, it saves us from having to pick all the gravel up at the bottom. And that's why we come in and there used to be a runoff there, but now it's filled up to the point where now we just go in and we scoop it out, and then when it fills back up, we go back and scoop it out.
Okay.
So it's a maintenance thing now, but at one time, the water used to flow through there. And so,
But once they did this work, it worked for 4 or 5 years. What changed it?
We have an opinion about what.
Yeah, I think this area worked, and actually all of Texas Hill vastly improved with that work. But I think over time, the channel, the drainage ditch became less defined, and the road kind of lost its crown. So the water found its way. It would flow out onto the road, back into the ditch, out onto the road, and when it get out onto the road, that's when it would erode the road and send that gravel down to the bottom. I think with the work that was done this spring to recrown, bring in material, and better define the drainage, the water's going to stay in the drainage. Its design has the capacity to take it all the way to the bottom without getting into the road and picking up the gravel.
That's where the gravel's
I
coming
recognize
from.
that takes work to keep that condition.
the problem is there's some sections there that I can't dig it deep enough to put bigger stone to hold it in place, because there's ledge there.
Because of the
So
lid?
smaller stone, when you get the force of water, it just all, eventually, if you get these heavy storms, it all eventually ends up at the bottom, and we have to deal with it. And the other thing is, why it's changed a few times, is that runoff is, if you get these 50-year or 100-year storms, over the course of the time, when all that water and stuff gets going, it just eventually just filled it in. So short of us going in and digging on, it was before it was even your property, we just stopped going in and digging on other people's property, and we just reached a point where it was easier just to come back and clean that little void out, and just, it was easier to maintain than trying to deal with, people's property.
Okay.
But I do think that before you make a decision, you guys should visually go out and look at it.
Yeah,
See
yeah.
what we're talking about. decision.
How, does anybody have some time Thursday morning?
I'll go.
I'll go.
I could, I'd like to if I'm around. I know I'm going to be traveling at some point, but I could be
I
trying to.
mean, like 8:30 or what?
Sure, whatever
I
works.
mean, I get up early. I'm up at 5:30, so. How,
Do we need we have like
That works
a
for me.
quorum problem?
ma'am?
Yeah, would
I
that be,
said that works for me. I was making
Okay.
it funny.
should we only have 2 selectmen there, or does that matter?
We'll post it.
Okay.
So
Just,
That's
give
right.
caution now,
Yeah, yeah.
just discuss that subject, nothing else that day. Right, that's all you can discuss, we'll post it.
Okay,
I can make it Thursday morning too, for that matter. So Thursday morning?
yeah. Well, you guys probably got, I'm an accountant, so why don't you two guys handle that, all right,
One other
Thursday morning?
question.
Hmm?
So if they block this off, and my other concern is they also own at the bottom of the hill. So I'm just, at some point, if you block that off, then I feel like now my problem is gonna be at the bottom of the hill. So
Yeah.
to have them not come back and say, now I have a problem at the bottom of the hill.
Well, why don't we,
So
why don't we,
double jeopardy for me.
why don't we look at it?
Why we wanted to sit down and talk about it.
Why don't we look at it and let Bill and Neil go out there and take a look at it on that, on this one particular subject, and then we'll bring it back to the board and discuss the findings and what have you.
And I'm assuming we were able to observe that.
Sure.
Is that? Okay, great. I'll just, should I submit whatever else we have here?
Sure.
Didn't give, I just made one copy.
And give it to Paul.
There's also some stuff about grandfathering in there. We don't believe that has any part of the conversation
Okay,
in this process.
we'll do that.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I get that.
Okay, so you and Neil can go out there and
I'd like to go to.
meet with Joe and
We could actually probably make it 2.
it's that
Thursday morning?
it's that one subject, you know, nothing past that, you know. So,
So we'll meet there at the site, or,
or you wanna meet,
Yeah, well, yeah, I kind of know where it is, so I don't know if anyone wants.
No, I'll find it.
well, why don't,
downtown here at Town Hall?
yeah, meet at the town hall and follow
Yeah, quarter
a
past eight.
ride together.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
drop the kids off
15th?
at school first.
Okay,
School?
well,
Fridays are last
I'll meet
day,
you
but-
guys too.
So what time are you available?
No, that's fine.
8:15?
Yeah, I can drop the kids off.
Okay, I'll be here at
8:15, okay. All right, any committee reports?
I have some. On the 31st of May, the Chamber, the Central New Hampshire Chamber had a board meeting, and we're moving forward with looking at a different provider possibly for the website, handling the website and maintaining it. Then on Tuesday, June 6th, we had a meeting, our annual meeting for the chamber at Rocky World Deep Haven, where Kathy Wheeler gave a great presentation and talked about how the camp was started by, I believe, a teacher in Massachusetts came up, and in 1897 was the first summer that the camp opened. And it was 2 separate camps for a while, and then I believe in the I don't want to say 50s or 60s or 40s, the 2 camps combined which is why it's called Rocky World or Deep Haven, where both names combined. It was a great meeting, very well attended. Then today, I met with Brian and 3 landlords to talk about a future potential warrant article to handle the issues that are going on with the issues that are going on between the single-family residents, the families, and student housing. So we made a little bit of headway.
Okay. Good. Bill?
I had a planning board meeting, work session, to discuss the areas that were outstanding with regard to the latest master plan. And we met with Tara Bamford of North Country Council, who's the facilitator. And we're targeting probably public hearing later this summer on the finished master plan. Did we mention the Energy Commission having a
Aren't they at the next meeting?
Yeah, the public hearing?
yeah, the public hearings?
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Well, I'm just going to say it again.
Yeah, right.
Public hearing on the 26th, and they're going to provide information on the 100 kilowatt solar array that's being proposed at the recycling center. And just in support of that, in addition to saving energy money, the project will also contribute to reducing Plymouth's carbon footprint and align ourselves with the latest resolution stating that Plymouth is the destination for environmental studies and ecotourism. Thank you, Neil. And the Pemigewasset River Local Advisory Committee met a couple Tuesdays ago, and it was in the first meeting in over a decade without Max Stamp as its chair. And Max stepped down and allowed me to assume the chair position. And Perlac reviews proposals for development along the quarter-mile buffer zone that's designated on both sides of the Pemigewasset River. And that also includes the Northern Pass project. And Max has been very active in providing testimony to the SEC on the negative impact of the development regarding the river. So that's pretty much it for me.
I attended a meeting of the Water Sewer District. It was pretty uneventful. They had a couple of contracts on workers' comp, like the rest of us, for approving the insurance. And then they are doing some, they had a non-public discussion on well development, so I was excluded from that, so that's about all that happened at the meeting, other than the non-public. Neil?
I haven't had any, the Conservation Commission hasn't been meeting yet. I have been meeting with members of the faculty at Plymouth State discussing a plan to apply for a grant which would go through the Chamber of Commerce from the Department of Resources and Economic Development for marketing the greater Plymouth area.
Okay, anything else? Brian?
Our Parks and Rec Commission meeting was postponed till next week. It was supposed to be held this Wednesday. But the commission wanted me to pass along that the last day of the highly successful after-school program ends tomorrow for the school year. There's a large number of kids this school year, so it was wonderful. And the summer adventure camp is already full. There is a waiting list, and some of the students on the waiting list or kids on the waiting list have been accommodated already, so it's not too late to get on the waiting list, I guess.
All right. No unfinished business. Public comments? Public has no comments. Okay, we don't need to go into non-public for anything? Okay. We'll continue from the work session the discussion on, that Neil had for sending a letter to Market Basket?
Well, a few years ago, we decided to send a letter to Market Basket inviting them to our community. And unfortunately, at that time, they were involved in litigation, and which has subsequently been resolved, and it looks like that now might be a good time to remind them that we still would like to have them come to our community. Do you still have a copy, Kathy, of the letter that was sent?
John, I know that the letter that Mike sent was since the litigation was over. It was like a year after.
It was?
Yeah.
At least a year
But
after.
I think they were still having financial challenges.
Well, they're going to for a while. When you do a consolidation like that, it doesn't heal itself in a year. I mean, you've got a lot of money that changed hands, and that's probably 5 years before things settle out on that, so. All right, any other thoughts or comments on it? Kathy, you'll look up the letter and
And I'm sure if there are developers on Tenny Mountain Highway or wherever they were looking, I'm sure they're working on it on their own in a private capacity.
well, what is the board's favor as far as sending a letter to Market Basket?
I would think that I would want to talk to the developer to see if he thinks that might help him.
Well,
If he's still
do
in,
you think it would hurt?
don't know.
I'll look into it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do that and Paul will get back with us. Okay, no further business? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye.